What's up, guys? Welcome back to Music City. We are here with another tier list ranking, and today we're going to be ranking all of the Beatles albums on this tier list here. This is going to be very difficult because they're one of the greatest, most iconic bands of all time, and um, I don't want to piss anybody off, but I don't care. This is just my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the comments down below. The tiers we have here are top tier, great, good, mad, bad, and Yoko singing. Yeah, let's just get straight into this. We don't waste any time. First up, we have the Beatles. Please, please me, the first album to you know introduce us to the Beatles. Obviously, there are some bangers on here. Um, I feel like there's a bit of with a lot of bands, figuring out their groove and everything. And obviously, the Beatles changed their genres a lot. And hold on, let me grab something real quick. I'm gonna have all. So yeah, all right. So yeah, the Beatles, please, please me. It's I kind of want to put it in great because I do feel like there are a lot of bangers on here, a lot of great songs, but I feel like there's also a lot of stinkers on this album. There are some songs in here that I'm just not the biggest fan of. But I mean, obviously, so many iconic tracks still. You have I Saw Her Standing There, which is one of my favorite, and I feel like one of the more underrated Beatles songs. Obviously, Please Please Me, Love Me Do, Twist and Shout. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in great tier, even though yeah, it's great. I feel like it's too iconic to you know put any lower. And then we have the Beatles, Meet the Beatles, or With the Beatles. It just depends if it's with the Beatles or Meet the Beatles, but it's the same album, basically. But yeah, the second record to come from the Beatles. And this is one where I'm gonna put in the good tier because this is another one where there are bangers, but there's also, again, this is one that one of the more important reasons for me on ranking albums is how much can I re-listen to an album. This is one that I'm going to find myself re-listening to a lot. Again, there are some great iconic songs, um, but I feel like nothing on here really is like top tier. Like, there's not really any songs on this album that are like top, 20 Beatles songs. There are good songs on here, like, It Won't Be Long, Get All My Loving, Roll Over Beethoven's fun, I Want to Be Your Man. I'm looking at my list here. So there are some good tracks, but I just feel like overall, compared to other Beatles albums that have like a ton of just iconic songs, this isn't one that comes to mind. Next up, we have A Hard Day's Night. I'm gonna put this one in the great tier, um, as well. I feel like this one is really. I feel like this is actually no. We're not gonna say that just now. But this could kind of be where the Beatles start to really, for me at least, find their footing. But I, I'm gonna wait a couple more albums before I confirm that. But this is an album where I feel like you can really start to see the Beatles coming through in a way that, or at least in the way that I know and love them. A Hard Day's Night, one of the best Beatles songs of all time, and I Love Her is great. My one of my favorite Beatles songs, Can't Buy Me Love, is on this album. So yes, I feel like this is one there. Yeah. Next one, The Beatles for Sale. As a Beatles fan, again, read listenability and everything really important to me. This isn't one I'm gonna be re-listening to a lot. Just again, going track for track here. This album I feel like doesn't have much to offer. Now, I mean, obviously, like 8 Days a Week is a great Beatles song. I do love that album. That song and Kansas City, Hey Hey Hey, that's a fun song. But just overall, I feel like this is the most generic Beatles album. Those two tracks are good, but a lot of just more generic songs on here. So we're gonna have to put this one in last place. Now, Help. This is the album that I'm gonna confirm. Yeah, ignore what I said about Hard Day's Night. That's a great album, but this is where I feel like the Beatles really find their footing. So I'm gonna put this in top tier. This is when you're getting, I mean, like really just iconic songs. Help. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away. Ticket to Ride Yesterday. Just so many great songs. I love this album. This is one that I can just re-listen to a lot, even like the B tracks, the ones that are, just kind of deep tracks. Still, so many bangers on here. Next up, we have Rubber Soul. I'm gonna put this one in front of Help. A lot of great songs on here, whether we're looking at bigger, greatest hits, or just more of the more deep tracks. Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, Nowhere Man, Michelle, Girl, In My Life, Run for Your Life. A lot of bangers on here. This is kind of when you get to like the more psychedelic era. As a fan, I feel like I obviously love all eras of the Beatles, but I personally get into everything past Help. I feel like Help, and everything before that was great, good, great. But I feel like Rubber Soul and onward is really when the Beatles become the band that I know and love. I'm into the 1965 to 1970 era. Obviously, again, everything before that's still iconic and great, but Rubber Soul and Forward is where I really get into it. I mean, In My Life, beautiful, beautiful song. Nowhere Man, which I think of the movie Yellow Submarine whenever I hear that one. Norwegian Wood. Drive My Car is such a banger. Great album. And then we have Revolver. This is one that I have a bit of bias towards because this is the first one that I own. Not like that I owned, but my family owned. Um, so this was one I was always listening to a lot. So we're also going to put this one in top tier. I'm going to put it ahead of Rubber Soul. This is it. Rubber Soul was kind of the transition into the psychedelic era, but Revolver's the first real psychedelic album. This is when the drugs get in, the LSD. But so many great songs. This is when you get George Harrison getting to write more, and I feel like George Harrison has just made so many great Beatles songs. Um, and this is when you get to you start to see that a little more. Taxman, such a fun song. Eleanor Rigby, such a depressing song. I'm Only Sleeping, this weird psychedelic banger. I know I'm saying banger a lot, but then obviously Yellow Submarine, such a fun Ringo Starr song. Good Day Sunshine, fun little upbeat song. That's one I used to listen to a lot when I was a little kid. Got to Get You Into My Life. I love that song so much. Um, One of my favorites off of the album is "Got to Get You Into My Life." That's a good one right there. And then we have Sergeant Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. I just another one I may be a little biased towards because I do own this one on CD. This was my first CD. CD's nuts. Oh, but I don't care. There's a reason this is considered one of the best albums of all time. I love this album. One of the first concept albums. I'd argue one of the best concept albums. This is the one that I think I had the most of on my playlist. Is it my favorite? I don't know. You'll find out. But it has a ton of songs on my playlist. This is the one I probably listen to the most. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is a great opener. With a Little Help from My Friends is the best Ringo Starr song. If you're like a casual Beatles fan and you're like, which Ringo Starr song do I need to listen to? Obviously, Yellow Submarine, Octopus's Garden are great, but listen to With a Little Help from My Friends. That is just underrated Beatles track. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is good. Getting Better and Fixing a Hole. She's Leaving Home. Yeah, a lot of good beat tracks on here as well. You obviously have iconic songs, but then you get stuff like Getting Better, Fixing a Hole, She's Leaving Home, Lovely Rita, which is those four songs are some of the more deep tracks, but they are still good. When I'm 64, weird, quirky song, and then A Day in the Life, which I don't know if it's my favorite Beatles song. I think A Day in the Life is my second favorite Beatles song. It used to be my favorite, but I love that song, and it's the closing song on the album, and A Day in the Life is just man, that's an experience right there. And then we have the Magical Mystery Tour. I would argue their final real psychedelic album. You had some psychedelic elements onward, but this was the last like real, and another concept album, kind of not as much, but yeah, I still argue it. And then they had that little small movie tie-in. I'm gonna put this one in the great category. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, feel like I was being a little too nice to Help. I still love Help. I'm gonna put that in great too, though. I'm realizing now I don't think it's fair for me to put Magical Mystery Tour in great when there are, now that I'm looking at it, there are a lot of great songs on here. Magical Mystery Tour is a fun song. I'm the Walrus. That's the one I used to listen to a lot. Hello Goodbye. That's like top 20 right there. Strawberry Fields Forever is great. Penny Lane is top. That might be top 10. Definitely my favorite song in the album. Or All You Need Is Love. Penny Lane or All You Need Is Love. Top 10 off that album. So yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking about putting it great. Now that I'm looking at it, there's a lot of good songs in this one. So yeah. That's gonna be in the top tier. And then we have the White Album. Do I put it in front of? I don't care. I'm gonna do it anyway. It's a double album. And I've seen arguments where it's like, oh well, since it's a double album, you're getting a lot of crap. And on the one hand, I agree. Revolution 9 is a terrible song. It is. This album is like 2 hours long, you're getting a lot more, you know, and it can be a little difficult to re-listen to this full album, but the songs on here that are good are great. Back in the USSR, Glass Onion, Obladi Oblada, which I don't. If you say Obladi Oblada is a bad song, don't talk to me. It's a banger. I don't care. While my guitar gently weeps. Again, George Harrison, man. His songs are so good. Blackbird, Birthday. I swear I hear that every year whenever it's my birthday. And then Helter Skelter, which Helter Skelter kind of helped reinvent metal music, or kind of helped start that stuff. That's when you got like Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin. So yeah, um, I'm debating should I put it in. I think I'm gonna put it. I think I'm gonna put Sgt. Pepper's out of it, but that's one that I can kind of go back and forth on. All right, then we have Abbey Road. Um, we're just gonna like, I, I don't even know where to like begin. I'm not trying to be like a glazer, and I'm not beating the glaze allegations because I currently have 6 albums in top tier, which I feel like kind of defeats the purpose of top tier. Like when you're like, oh yeah, these are top tier albums. When you have 6, I might be glazing a little bit, but I don't care. That's why I love the Beatles so much. Abbey Road. I mean, just insane how fantastic, how beautiful this album is. This is one where I can just re-listen. Again, re-listenability is very important for me. I don't know if that's a word. I hope that's a word. Re-listenability, yeah. And this is one where I could just put it on, listen to the full album, and it's not going to be a problem. Come Together, one of the most iconic rock songs of all time. Great drumming from Ringo. Something, that is my favorite Beatles song. Again, George Harrison, and he has another great song in here, which we'll talk about in a second. Something is just a beautiful love song. I love that song so much. Maxwell Silverhammer, very fun, theatrical. It's not like, super, serious or anything. It's dumb. It's about a dude killing people with a hammer, but it's fun. Oh Darling is a song that I feel like gets slept on a lot. I think that's my mom's favorite Beatles song. Octopus's Garden obviously is a fun song. I Want You, She's So Heavy, really one of the more heavy Beatles songs if you want to get into more heavy Beatles songs. Here Comes the Sun, another fantastic George Harrison song, and then Carry That Weight. It's only like a minute long, but it's great. So I mean, yeah, just also that album cover is so iconic. Just them walking on Abbey Road, so iconic. So yeah, I adore this album. I know I'm glazing here. Sorry, but it is what it is. And then we have Let It Be. I'm gonna put their final album, which they actually recorded before Abbey Road. Fun fact. But this was the one that was released last. I'm gonna put it in the. I'm gonna put in the bottom of the great category. Um, Again, still great. Don't think that's like like me hating on the album or anything. Not as many fun upbeat songs. This one's a little more, a little slower. There's still some great rock songs on here, like "Get Back," which is just such a banger. "Let It Be" obviously is a beautiful, beautiful song, and then "Long and Winding Road." Kind of look at that as like the Beatles finale. So that's I could have included like the anthology albums, but I don't know. Those are just more like EPs to me. They don't feel like real albums. So that is all of the Beatles albums ranked on this tier list. As you can see, I'm a pretty big Beatles fan. I love me some Beatles, so this is there's a lot of top tier albums here, but I'm sorry, just it is what it is. I couldn't help myself. I love the Beatles. So let me know how you would rank all the Beatles albums down below in the comments. What are some more album rankings you want me to do? I've done Kanye and now I've done the Beatles. I'm thinking I'm gonna do an Eminem one next in the next 2 weeks. It'll probably be next week. You'll get an Eminem one. I'm trying to do more of these tier ranking videos, and then just let me know who you'd love to see. I'm trying to do artists that have like a big discography. I'm considering doing Kendrick, but I've already done a ranking, so I don't know if I need to do a tier list. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I don't know. I can't say stay geeky. As always, keep listening to music. So yeah.